Charlotte's FM News Talk, 107.9 FM, WBT. It's the TJ Ritchie Show. I'm TJ Ritchie, the green-eyed patriot. Starting things off tonight on a solemn note. It's one of the top stories around the nation today. The plane crash in Statesville with Greg Biffle and his wife and two kids, as well as what I'm being told is a co-pilot and his son were also on the plane, and another friend of Greg's. 7 people total. There's so many things about this that are shocking and so heart-wrenching. And I'm thrilled that things going around social media are really talking about Greg Biffle in the way that he was, which is a giving, generous person. I knew Greg Biffle. We weren't hangout buddies or anything like that. I don't want to misrepresent it, but I knew him. Back in March of 2007, there were 2 Charlotte Mecklenburg police officers gunned down. They had gone to a domestic dispute call, and they had resolved the domestic dispute, and they were leaving. And a guy named Demetrius Montgomery approached them, didn't have anything to do with the situation, and then just killed them in cold blood. So I was part of the Ace and TJ show at the time, and we were always right there anytime we could be, and as much as we could be, to help the families of fallen police officers. And we did a lot of charity work through our show. So we got the idea that what we were going to do, and most of these things that we used to do, these huge projects, we had no idea what went into doing them. We would just go on the air because we were young. We just go on the air and start talking about it and saying, let's do this. So we had the idea organically to build parks honoring these 2 fallen police officers. Now, neither one of them lived in Charlotte, in the city limits of Charlotte. One, his name was Jeff Shelton. He lived out in Locust. And Sean Clark lived in the Cornelius area, if I remember correctly. So we said we want to build a park in each one of those towns. And so the Locust officials, the mayor and everybody in charge in Locust, they jumped on board right away, and they already had a park that hadn't been kept up and that they were already trying to figure out what to do with it. And this was just perfect timing. They said, you take this park and you get people in here to design it, and you get your listeners to whatever your plan is to get them to donate money for playground equipment and, all of this other stuff. And so we said, we're going to do it. We'll start with that one. And again, not having any idea what all would go into doing this project. So we're building it on the air, letting the listeners know what's happening, and then saying, this is a snag that we've hit. We need this. So let's say, for example, we're building a walkway that honors police officers up to a plaque that would have Jeff Shelton's name on it and all the stuff about him. And we would have no idea how to do that. So we would ask, do we have any people listening who are bricklayers or stone workers that you could help us and put us in the right direction and that sort of thing. And the Charlotte community has always been over the top when it comes to stuff like that. So one day we had been talking about it and you know, maybe letting a little of the frustrations that we were dealing with on the air. We let a little of that out. And our producer, who was the organizer of all of the stuff, you know, he was the one that when we had the ideas and he would go and put them into play and contact this, but he had the network going on. And he said, "You won't believe who I just got off the phone with." And I said, "Who?" He said, "Greg Biffle." I said, "The race car driver?" Because, I mean, I'm not, Mr. Educated on the ins and outs of NASCAR or any type of racing. And, but I knew who Greg Biffle was. He said, "Yeah." He said he was listening to our show and he said, "Look, you can't have a park like that without having a dog park within it." Because he's big into, you know, animals and stuff. He said, "You got to have a dog park in that park. So I'll pay for the dog park." Just out of nowhere. Listening to us on the radio that morning. And then there have been other instances where, you know, one time we had to do something at the All-Star race, you know, at night. We had a promotion that we were doing with the radio station. And then we had to get out of there after we did the intros of the band or whatever we were doing. We had to get out of there to make it to a charity event we were doing that same night. And we were talking about that on the show. And he called again. He said, "Hey, I've got to be at the track at whatever time. And nobody's using my helicopter. If you guys will drive to this address, you can get in my helicopter and they'll fly you into the track, do your thing, and then they'll fly you back out and you'll make it to your other event." All of the dealings that I had with Greg Biffle were positive. Not a thing about him was pretentious. He was just a good guy. And now everybody knows what he did, taking it upon himself to go in and help all of those people flooded in the mountains after Hurricane Helene. And he had just gotten his pilot's license to be able to fly the type of plane that he was flying, from what I understand. And he was all excited about it. But I have nothing but good things to say about my interactions with Greg Biffle. So I live in Mooresville at Lake Norman. So you can imagine the buzz around here today when all of that started taking place. And all day I felt like I had somebody kicking me in the stomach. All right, I'm running long already in the first break here, so in the first segment. So I got to take a break, and we got more coming up. Hang on. .107.9 FM WBT Charlotte's FM News Talk It's the TJ Ritchie Show. We were talking about the death of Greg Biffle in the plane crash today in Statesville. And I was just sharing how I know Greg Biffle and what type of guy he was. And I don't know, it just makes you stop and think, and I know this may be a little cliche, but I was talking about this maybe a couple of weeks ago on the show, where I was saying that you need to live in the moment. These types of things always make me reflect, especially since I'm older, that you never know. You never know what God's plan is for you, when God is going to call you home. And I know that that's, nothing that Greg Biffle or any of the other people that were on board that plane, I know that's not what their family wants to hear right now, but it does make you stop and think. For me, it makes me think about not wasting time on unimportant things. Sure, people look at somebody like Greg Biffle, so, successful, wealthy, the whole thing, and think, man, he's got it made. But you never know. You never know. You never know when you're going to have to face an immediate transformation in life, whether it's a different path that you take, or whether it's, ultimately, like I said, God calling you home. So I've tried since every year I try to get a little wiser and start thinking about, why am I going to waste my time worrying about and getting mad about or getting frustrated about things that really are not going to matter in the grand scheme of things? And if you're sitting there going, well, you get mad every night talking about stuff on here. Well, yeah, because the things that I talk about that I get mad about are things that do matter in the grand scheme of things. The things I talk about matter in the future of the freedom of our country and our peoples. But I know I used to worry about and I get all upset about things that just didn't even matter when you stop and think about it. And I guess that's part of growing as a person when you are, one age to the next. By the way, I think Greg Biffle's birthday is December 23rd. And born in the same year I was. But again, I love seeing and hearing people all over the media and social media talking about what he was to them, which was a generous person. Whether it was, like I said, just jumping in and building the dog park area of the memorial park that my partner Ace and I were building for a fallen officer, or putting on a big fireworks display for his neighborhood on, the patriotic holidays. Now, like I said, we weren't close friends. I just knew him in a professional sense, mainly. But I do know people who were actually close friends with him. And he was the type of guy, though, that would just, he would say, hey, Yeah, I'm going to be out of town and whatever. I'll leave the key out to my boat. If you got your family coming in, go get that. Go get my boat. Take them out on that if you want. My boat, if my boat's bigger than yours, just go get it. Neighborly things, you know. So I'm sure a lot more details are going to be coming out about the, you know, when they, you know, finish their investigation of the crash and all of that stuff. And I'm sure each detail is going to make it, you know, more and more sad. And for their families, and, you know, again, there were other people on the flight other than Greg and his family. And his daughter that was on the flight is his daughter with his ex-wife. And we want to make sure we're praying for her, because she's really got to be going through it. Can you imagine? Ugh. If you want to call or text, you can do that. 704-570-1079. The text line driven by Liberty Buick GMC. Now, I'm not going to be on this all night. I have a lot of stuff that I have planned for the show tonight. One of which is an update about the situation with the older lady working at Target, and the younger woman came up and cussed her out for wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt. And I got into a heated discussion about that last night with a fellow named Randall that called. So we'll get into that, and then there is a big update on that. And if you haven't seen it, you're going to be shocked at the kindness of someone involved in that situation. And then the president has just completely worked his magic to troll the lunatic liberals who have no sense of humor whatsoever. I thought I was good at poking at people, you know, I call it joking, to, you know, just to get a rise out of them. But President Trump, I think, is the best at that, and it's hilarious. And I know a lot of people, I wish he would act more presidential, and, you know, but if he acted more presidential, he wouldn't be the president. I'm going to tell you that. People elected Donald Trump because he acts like Donald Trump. Now, I know in his first term, everybody run around saying that, a lot of the conservatives, you know, he's just not presidential. They would run around saying that in the first term. But then they, you know, realized where things were headed, and if we didn't have Donald Trump the next time, it was going to be bad business. So some of that presidential stuff kind of went away. Let him joke, let him do what he wants to do. As long as he's not, you know, Joe Biden or one of those Marxists that was running the country in the name of Joe Biden, we'll be all right. Okay, so we'll pep it up a little bit and you know, move on with the exciting, fun parts of the show. I just wanted to say that about Greg Biffle. One, because he was a part of our community, not just an entertainer and a sports figure. He was part of the community, and he was so helpful to every North Carolinian he came across. And I just, you know, wanted you to know that my personal experience with him, he proved that every time I dealt with him, that he was a great guy. All right. So all of that other stuff I mentioned, we're going to get on that coming up next. Hang on. Charlotte's FM News Talk, 107.9 WBT. It's the TJ Ritchie Show. That would mean I am TJ Ritchie, the realist. That's me. Okay. Last night we caused a little bit of controversy when I played this clip that was going around the social medias of this really, really heinous, wicked woman walking up onto a sweet elderly woman who was working at Target stocking baby clothes and just cussed her out for wearing a red Freedom t-shirt, one of those Charlie Kirk shirts. And just to refresh your memory, this is the way that went.
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes. Why?
So,
why are you taking my picture?
why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not a Target
red shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be.
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you stupid?
No.
Why the would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt. You support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go get your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am.
And you should not be allowed to wear that. This is going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane. Insane.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Insane. Piece of
Okay, well, it did go over her head because this crazy woman, this wicked witch, this she-devil, Hellcat, put it on the social medias, bragging on herself for what she did. And then the next thing you know, people find out who she is, and they've contacted her work and, just letting everybody know how trashy she is. Now, I called her white trash, and some fellow named Randall called here. He was offended by that. And I think I figured it out when he was talking, that what he was saying was, and this is how much sense this made, he said that it's Target's fault for not making the uniform code more clear and actually causing that woman to have to cuss the old lady out. Now, doesn't that sound like the rationale of a liberal, or lack of rational thought? Okay, so there's an update. They found this nice lady, I think her name's Miss Jeannie, and they were interviewing her about the trashy wench that rolled up on her at Target. This is how that went. Cut 60
People are calling for her to be fired for this. Do you think that that's right? Would you like that to happen?
No, I don't think that's right. Like, one saying I have is, two wrongs don't make a right. You know, she wronged me, but I don't want to wrong her, or I don't want her wrong, because it's not going to make it right. I mean, that was her opinion. But she's the one that put it on Facebook, or put it on that. So, but I really wouldn't want to see somebody lose their job over it.
Yeah, that lady right there really has turned out to be the type of person that needs to be insulted and cussed out over a T-shirt, doesn't she? She's just, woo. If anybody was in need of a cussing, it's this lady, Miss Jeannie. And it makes the other one look even worse to me, if it's possible. It makes that other snake of a woman look even worse. Because Miss Jeannie could have been sick. Because I think they started a GoFundMe or something for Miss Jeannie too. You know, they do that now. If something goes viral and they feel like somebody needs some money for whatever reason, start a GoFundMe. So I'm not sure. I can check the information on that, but I think I saw that they started a GoFundMe for Miss Jeannie, and I saw a statement from the white trash Hellcat that cussed Miss Jeannie out. I saw a statement from her employer, this healthcare place, and they had to come make a public statement because they were getting inundated with calls, and it was tying up their phone lines and everything, and they needed to be able to do business in getting people medical help. So he said that they were investigating it. They didn't want that type of person involved with them, but he wasn't going to comment one way or another on the woman's employment, whether or not she was getting in trouble or fired or whatever. He said that they don't do that about their employees, which, okay, that's fine. But what he did was he said, we know that you are concerned and you have thoughts about this. So we're not telling you not to get us your thoughts. We're just saying, don't tie up the phone lines so we can, take care of getting people their, doctors and stuff. So he gave a special line that was set up where they could call and leave a voicemail, and a special email address dedicated to people complaining about that white trash she-devil Hellcat that cussed the sweet lady out at Target. It's a sign of the times, really. This whole case shows so much of what our culture has devolved into with people. First of all, just manners. This woman lacks manners. Obviously, her parents were not good parents. They didn't teach her right. She doesn't have manners. She's got a trash mouth. That's another sign that she wasn't raised right, to just run around cussing like that, using the F word all over the place, and then posting it on social media for everybody to see because you think it's cool. That's just another sign that she's white trash. And she needs the Jesus. There are too many people that are now adults running around in this country who haven't had the Jesus in their life. So they don't have the proper social skills to act civil in public, and they haven't been raised right to know how to conduct themselves with manners. And this is what we deal with. And you see, the older person in the situation is the one that handles it with grace and dignity. Never raised her voice at that demon lady. Miss Jeannie didn't. She didn't cuss back at her. She just said, it's not racist. Oh, no, he's not a racist. She said, well, that's your opinion. Have a nice day, and walked away. Then they go, and I don't know whether that was for somebody from the news station or whatever. Ask her, do you want to see this woman get fired? Everybody's calling for this woman to get fired. Because what they're saying is if she is in the healthcare business, then if she finds out that the patient is a fan of Charlie Kirk's or Donald Trump or whomever that is on the right, will she deny them treatment? Will she treat them badly? Will she try to harm them even more than they already are? So those are things that people are saying that needs to be considered when you're employing her as a healthcare provider. And then sweet Miss Jeannie says, no, I don't want to see her get fired. I don't want her to lose her job. And you know what else, ladies and gentlemen? That proves with a shining example the difference between civilized people on the right and the uncivilized people on the left. That's the biggest example of the days of 2025. We're called the right for a reason, because we're right. They're called the left, and they're called liberals because it works perfectly with the alliteration lunatic liberals or lunatic leftists. That's where the word comes from. The words leftist and leftists and liberals, because it goes well with the word lunatic. So now you know. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. Knowledge is power, and I am dropping it all over you tonight. All right, the president did some, just absolutely brilliant trolling of the lunatic leftists. And it upset the ladies on The View more than anybody else. So you know this has got to be good. We'll get to it next. Hang on. Charlotte's FM News Talk 107.9 WBT, the TJ Ritchie Show. I'm the main. Who am I? I'm the main. That's who I am. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, I don't care what you think about President Trump, whether you're a normal thinking person who recognizes that President Trump is a great president and we should be thankful to God every day that he's our president. And then there are people who are wrong that think that he's not. People think that he shouldn't be our president. They're wrong. People think that he should be. And we should be thanking God. Those are the people who are right. So one of the things, no matter what you think of him, you got to give him credit. He's funny. I know funny. I know the science behind funny, and Donald Trump is funny. El Presidente. So there's I'm also a comedy snob. Okay. Now what that means is something has to really be funny for me to laugh out loud at it. Okay. For me to genuinely horse laugh at something, it really, really has to be funny. And this has had me laughing ever since I saw it yesterday. So there's this presidential walk of fame, and there are plaques under these pictures of presidents. Well, President Trump has, and I didn't know this, but I guess whoever's president at the time can put on the plaques whatever he wants, describing what the other presidents were like. And the next president will change it if they are a mind to do so. So under Joe Biden's presidential portrait, President Trump says, Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history, taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States. Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters that brought our nation to the brink of destruction. His policies caused the highest inflation ever recorded, leading the U.S. dollar to lose more than 20% of its value in 4 years. His Green New Scam surrendered American energy dominance, and by abolishing the southern border, Biden let 21 million people from all over the world pour into the United States, including from prisons, jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. His Afghanistan disaster was among the most humiliating events in American history and resulted in the murder of 13 brave American service members, with many others gravely wounded. Seeing Biden's devastating weakness Russia invaded Ukraine, and Hamas terrorists launched the heinous October 7th attack on Israel. But I didn't laugh at that one as much as I did this one, because to the liberals, this is blasphemy. All right, and I'm serious. If the liberals believed in God, well, they do believe in God. They believe in this guy being a God, and they also believe that the environment is the God. So this would be blasphemy in their book. Under President Barack Obama's portrait, the plaque reads, Barack Hussein Obama was the first black president, a community organizer, one-term senator from Illinois, and one of the most divisive political figures in American history. As president, he passed the highly ineffective Unaffordable Care Act, resulting in his party losing control of both houses of Congress and the election of the largest House Republican majority since 1946. He presided over a stagnant economy, approved the terrible Iran nuclear deal, and signed the one-sided Paris Climate Accords, both of which were later terminated by President Donald J. Trump. I love that. I can't tell you how much I love that. And I love it even more knowing that the hens on The View got so upset about it. Joy Behar being the loudest squawker in there. This is from Fox News. The View co-host Joy Behar lashed out at President Donald Trump on Thursday over his mocking plaques under portraits of his most recent Democrat predecessors, and even said it was a time to invoke the 25th Amendment against him. She said, when are we going to invoke the 25th Amendment? Does he have to run naked into the White House or what? What is that amendment for if not this? Behar said, drawing laughter from the audience. Now, the 25th Amendment means that if the president is not of sound mind, that he could be removed from office. And nobody knew. I guarantee you, Joy Behar didn't know a thing about the 25th Amendment until they started talking about how Kamala Harris should have invoked the 25th Amendment to get Joe Biden out of the White House because he was so far gone mentally. So now every chance they get, they try to throw it out there that Trump's crazy. Obviously, he's crazy. To say that about our God, Barack Obama, oh my God, the man must just be a lunatic. He's certifiable. He's certifiable. So what? Who cares? I'm Joy Behar. She said, I want to read what he says about Barack Obama because we love Barack Obama. And it's wrong of him. He writes and he acts like this is real history. A community organizer, a one-term senator from Illinois, and one of the most divisive political figures in American history. Why? Because he's black? Oh, my God. That's all they have is this identity politics crap. No, why? It's because he was. President Trump said nothing that wasn't factual about Barack Obama or Joe Biden on those plaques. He could have said a lot more things about Barack Obama that would have been true and offensive. You know, two things can be true at once, as the old cliche goes. It could have been offensive and true at the same time. You know what? For something to be truly offensive, it has to have an element of truth in it. So, sorry, Joy. Sorry, Whoopi. And all the rest of you cackling hens on The View. Y'all are adorable. I think you're all just adorable with your little talk show and getting upset and emotional about the issues. Ooh. God, I love that. And you know, President Trump is just like I said. He is the master troller of these wackos. And you know what? I would love to be in the room with Donald Trump when this really hits. And he, you know, because you know he watches The View. You know he watches it and he's like, or when he's writing this stuff or coming up with it, you know he's thinking, oh, this is going to get him. This is going to get him. They're going to be so mad when I write this. This is great. All right. Second hour is coming up, and we got some big stuff you don't want to miss. Hang on. 107.9 FM, WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. Did you know it's FM? I don't know if we've made that clear yet, but we have. I know that nobody listening right now knows what I just did in the radio world and how impressive it is and how impressed I am with myself night after night here. But, you know, I come from the music radio business. I'm a seasoned top 40 radio person. This is my first job as a talk radio fella. And when the guy or the woman on the radio, usually the guy, let's be honest, the guy on the radio or the music station you're listening to, talks over the introduction of the song and then stops talking right as the person starts singing, that's called taking it to the post. Now, there are two types of radio people. There are the types of radio people who can do that by just listening to the song. And then there are the types who can do that only by looking at a counter, counting down the seconds until the vocals start. Now, that song that just came on had no vocals. But what I did was you can still talk a song to the post when it doesn't have vocals. I talked it up to that big right? And I'm just pointing out the talent that is oozing out of 107.9 megahertz and into your homes and cars. I mean, do you really have a grasp on the big, juicy, handsome pile of talent you've got here? Well, if you don't know, I'll make sure to tell you. Whew. I give myself chills, ladies and gentlemen. I give myself chills. All right. Of course, all that sarcasm was directed toward the liberals and the leftists and Marxists and all who just come here to hate. We don't play your hate games. We don't. Okay. So I got a clip here that it could be one of my favorite clips of the day. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This is an obnoxious woman. She is a mad little Mexican lady, but she's fine. She's pretty. And you will hear in this clip a banging sound when she's talking. That sound comes from her fingernails hitting the table that she's at which she is sitting. Ding, 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 ding. And I've told you, if you're a young single man and you're looking to settle down with a woman, if that woman gestures when she's talking emphatically with her fingernails or uses her fingernails in any way to drive home a point while she's speaking emphatically, you run like the wind blows in the other direction. She's not worth it. I don't care how hot she is. If that's what she does, you're looking at a lifetime of misery, my friend. I just know this. I know everything there is to know about women, remember? Oh, so She mad. Ooh, she mad. So cut 60. Let's go, Lonnie.
Let me hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just move here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars?
Yeah, we know that.
Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes, for sure.
Oh my God, isn't she adorable when she's mad? She talks like El Diablo is what she talks like. Now, I'm guessing that she did not come here from Mexico. That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing she was born in Southern California. She says she lives in San Diego. But either way, she's sitting there with her hair all done nicely. She's got on nice makeup. Her nails are done because you hear them banging on the desk there on the table. She's wearing clean clothes. She's enjoying the wonders of American indoor plumbing. So she said America's not better. It's just a little bit less worse or something like that. And then she starts naming off all the reasons why they're here. Well, all of those reasons mean America's better. America's better than any other place, even as messed up as it is now with all the Marxists that have messed up stuff, the Marxists and leftists and all of that. It's still way better than anything anybody else in the world has to offer. And that's why we need to start protecting it better. And we need to stop letting people in this country come in from foreign nations and downgrade us and take and take and take. You cannot have a vast immigration of people from other countries and a major welfare program. It's disastrous for your country. So there needs to be new laws about if you come into this country, you have to go back to the way the laws are supposed to be. You have to prove to become a legal resident in this country. You have to prove that you're going to make the country better. Not prove that you are going to come in and take and be on the dole from the government for the rest of your life. Go back to just start enforcing the immigration laws that are on the books that have been ignored all of these years. Now, I know, given the option for her to move to Mexico, so I'm not saying move back to Mexico because I honestly believe she wasn't born in Mexico. She's it looks like she's about 25, and she speaks with no accent at all. And you know what else she's got? She's got that spoiled American woman attitude. That's what she's got. That pampered American woman attitude. Gang. Let me hold your hand. Oh my God. So cute. But if we gave her that option, said, hey, look, we'll pay for your first year, all your expenses to go to Mexico and live. How fast do you think she would turn down that offer? Or give her a list of countries to choose from. You can go here, 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 here. Just pick one of these top 10 countries we've given you a choice of. Pick one. We will pay your first class flight there, and we'll pay for your expenses up to a certain amount, a generous amount for the first year that you're living there. You won't have to work or anything. You know what she'd be like? That's racist. You know why she acts the way she does? She's so smug and she thinks she's so smart. She's so sassy and everything because the men in her life have allowed her to act that way and then still cater to her because she's fine, because she's good looking. Like, okay, you can act like that and I'm still going to cater to you. But you know what? That dries up pretty soon. Not that she's going to get ugly, but men are just going to be to the point where, I don't care how beautiful you are. I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm gone. Bye. Bye. Now that's the reality of life. And I wish she would post it when that happens on her little TikToks or whatever, so we could all laugh. Boy, that liberal woman mindset is just so precious. It's so cute and funny. All right. Hang on. We got more coming up. Charlotte's FM News Talk, 107.9 WBT. I'm TJ Ritchie, America's coolest conservative and the green-eyed patriot, a.k.a. those things. Now, I just saw something, and I'm sorry. I got to go off on this. I'm scrolling through the social medias to see if there's any breaking stuff, news and whatnot. And I see some football, it's called Football Forever account. And it is our very own Mr. Cameron Newton. And he is speaking with Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN. Jamel Hill is a race hustler. She is one of those people that has made a career now, I guess, out of trying to find and pretending like she has found racism under every rock. She's like the racism Easter egg hunter champion. She can find, no matter where you are, she'll find it. And this is, you got to give credit to somebody who can confidently still make arguments that the NFL is racist against black people. You got to give credit where credit is due. If somebody can still confidently make that argument. So I haven't watched the video, but the caption reads in this conversation with Cameron Newton, it says, as the only black quarterback on television, Cameron Newton says he doesn't get paid the same as Tom Brady or Tony Romo and implies that it has to do with his race. In response to Jamel Hill's comment about him being the only black QB on the major network, Newton said, can we keep it funky? Because he talks so weirdly. So he never just talks. He's always got anyway. I don't get no Brady deal. I don't get no Romo deal. And that's just facts. And then it says, for reference, Fox is paying Tom Brady, whatever. CBS is paying Romo. He's paying Tom Brady $37.5 million. Tony Romo, $17 million. Newton, 36, currently serves as commentator for ESPN's First Take, but did not disclose his salary. Okay, well, here's the thing. Let me ask, in case Cameron Newton is in town, which he doesn't live in Charlotte anymore, from what I understand. But if somebody knows Cameron Newton, tell him I want to know, is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Is he considered, not just is he considered, but is he the greatest quarterback of all time? If he says anything but hell no, and he's not being honest, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Okay. Now, Tony Romo, on the other hand, is one of the best color commentators in NFL history. Tony Romo is known for being able to see things and call things from the booth that haven't happened yet. And then they happen. He is known as the top one or two, which depending on which day it is, color commentator in the NFL. Cameron Newton just went from doing a crazy podcast to doing commentary on talk shows on ESPN. He's not a color commentator in the booth. He's not the type that would be a good color commentator in the booth. I'm not saying he doesn't know anything about football, because obviously he was great and he does know a lot about football. But to even insinuate that those two guys, which I said from the beginning, they were paying Tom Brady too much money as a starter salary to come in and be a color commentator that he's never done before. And he's pretty good at it. But they paid for the name Tom Brady. Why? Because Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. So to sit there, this Jamel Hill, and race bait in this conversation, according to the caption of this video, the synopsis, is ridiculous. It's laughable. You know what? I don't make as much money as Ricky Smiley or D.L. Hughley, who are radio hosts. Now, is that because it's a discrimination against me because I'm white and they're black? Yes, it is. No, it's not. It's because they have bigger audiences. They are more successful. Am I as talented and as knowledgeable about the radio world? Absolutely. More probably. But that doesn't mean I automatically should make more money than they do, when they both have a lot of radio stations they're on and syndication deals, and they're nationwide and all of that stuff. It's ridiculous. And it tells me that they just must not have any content. That Jamel Hill must not have any content that she can come up with that's entertaining, other than trying to put racism somewhere where it doesn't belong, where it has no business. I mean, Cameron Newton has been in network broadcasting of sports for 15 seconds. But you see how that works, is that there's always a place for the grievances. So where there's never happiness, there's never appreciation and all. It's just this nonstop grievance culture. That he's the only black quarterback on television. Okay. So I'm telling you, anytime that you're having to sit around and try to figure out a way to make it seem like that the black man doesn't have a fair shot in the NFL. You sound like a crazy person. You're just making up stuff. It's almost like you're delusional. Now, I don't even know whether Cameron Newton does actually believe that, because I don't think it didn't say that he came right out and said, yeah, it's because I'm black. I don't make Tom Brady money or Tony Romo money. Doesn't matter, what experience they have that I don't, and this, that, and the other. I don't think he came right out and said that. But just even, hinting at that being the case is ridiculous. Just always got to be saying something. Ooh, and that Jamel Hill, you talk about a miserable person. Good Lord, she's miserable and just seems like vicious, mean, grouchy. Okay, so coming up next, I'll get to what I had planned to get to in that segment before I saw this story about Cameron Newton. Okay, so that's coming up next. Yeah. 107.9 WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. It's the TJ Ritchie Show. I am your ever-loving leader, America's coolest conservative, and the main. That's all you need to know. I'm the main. They say, who you listen to at night on the radio? All you got to do is say, oh, the main. I'm the main. They'll say, oh, I know who you're talking about. You talking about that dude? Whew. Get back. That's what they're going to say. Okay, so there is craziness, blatant media. I don't even know where I would just categorize this as a regular bias in the media. This is just plain, I'd say, media malpractice, as they say. So there is a Maine who has been charged in Sioux Falls with making a terrorist threat. So the news story was posted yesterday by a woman named Alicia Reinhart. And the picture that goes along with the story, headline, Sioux Falls man is charged with making a terrorist threat. And then the picture is a police officer leading an old scroungy-looking white man in handcuffs out to the police car, leading people to believe that that is the man who made the terrorist threat. However, the man who made the terrorist threat, his name is Mohammed Mansari. Mohammed Mansari. And he looks like one of those Somali pirates from the Tom Hanks movie. He looks nothing like the man that was in the picture accompanying the headline, Sioux Falls man is charged with making a terrorist threat. And I don't know, but I'm guessing that the news organization would say, oh, it was just an honest mistake. It was an honest mistake. We accidentally posted the wrong picture. That picture was from a story last week, and it was still on file, and we accidentally posted that. But they do this kind of stuff all the time. For example, if some politician gets in trouble, gets arrested, or gets some kind of trouble stirred up where they're in legal trouble, like they're being sued or something, and you go and read about the story in a regular news article or on the local news, you're listening to it, you know it's a Democrat if they get all the way through the story and never mention what political party the guy belongs to or the woman. If it's a Republican, first sentence, trouble for Republican state lawmaker, blah, 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 blah. It's just completely ridiculous. And I don't know. Well, I think I do know why. I was going to say, I don't know why and what it is about these Muslim extremists, these Islamists, that the left is so protective over. What is it? Why are they so protective of these people who are hell bent on tearing down our culture and our laws and everything else? Now, I'm not saying every Muslim in America is out to do that, but I'm talking about the extremists who believe that if you're not part of Islam, then you need to be killed. The ones who are marching in the streets and talking crap about America and talking crap about the Jews, and the ones who are who were protesting and you know, the violence going on at college campuses and you know, free Palestine, you know, all of that. Why are they so protective? Why? I know in Minnesota, I'm assuming that Tim Walz is so protective over the Somalis, no matter what they do, the fraud, the fact that they're, you know, 85% of them are on some sort of welfare and all that stuff, or why Keith Ellison, who is the Attorney General of Minnesota, is so protective over them. I think that a lot of that has to do with Walz and Ellison being Marxists, and they want to tear down the society. So lawlessness fits it right into that. But with Tim Walz, I suspect, I don't have any proof of this, let me make that clear, but I suspect he's been on the take himself. So all of this welfare fraud and everything that these Somalis, charity frauds and everything that they've been doing in Minnesota. And I have a story too about, they've caught up with some Haitians in Massachusetts who are accused of fraud in the SNAP system and all, today. But I suspect that Tim Walz is getting a kickback from some of that. And Keith Ellison is, he's, in my opinion, extreme past, you know, Marxism. He's full-throated communist. And he just wants the downfall of our society. You know, one of those that wants to rebuild it. So, you know, people like him are in power. He's rotten. Let me tell you that. You know anything about Keith Ellison, he is rotten. Why are they so protective over these people who are here to do America nothing but harm? That's where the investigations need to lead. Figuring out how they are connected to all this. Why is the media so protective? Why would the media, you know, just everyday members of the local Sioux Falls media want to protect the image of Mohammed Mansari? Now, innocent until proven guilty. They could print the truth and throw out alleged and suspected and all of the words that you have to say to keep from getting sued. But be honest, they won't. And when it comes down to it, you know, people say, well, these leftists in the media are so stupid. Do they think if they cater to these people and we look up and we're in Sharia, that they're going to be spared and that they're going to be, you know, given positions of authority and allowed to live pleasurable lives because they helped them. You know, you sit and wonder about stuff like that, like gays for Palestine. Huh? But they do. Evidently. Or they are so eaten up with white guilt, especially the young adults in the media and especially the white liberal women. They're so eaten up with it that it's just crippled their lives, and they're just out of their minds. And they think that they're being kind. I don't know. It's one of the damnedest things I've ever seen in my life. But as long as we've still got Trump in office, there's so many of these things that we need to be investigating and he needs to be on top of, because the professional Democrats never relax. They never take a breath. They're just pounding us over the head with one issue right after the other. Just boom, boom. Oh, you're focused on this now? Boom, we're going to hit you over here. You're a racist about this and this. Boom, we're going to hit you over here. Epstein, boom, we're hitting you over here. You know, it's just nonstop. Climate change. All of their issues, just boom, 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 boom. Stick and move, stick and move. That's what they do. Because they have no morals to have to, you know, worry about looking like hypocrites or something. They can just throw out anything they want because nobody expects any goodness, any decency out of professional Democrats. So that's why they can just throw out anything and do anything and say anything and then just keep moving. Because nobody ever accuses them of having to have moral standards. They're just strictly emotions and move. Accusations, move. Violence, move. You know, just constant. It's warfare with them every day. And we got to figure out a way to stop it. I say we. I'm not even on every night. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll get in somebody's ear. Don't think I won't. Okay, one of the things that entertains me the most in our culture is when marginalized, quote unquote, marginalized groups turn against each other because one is trying to out-victim the other. Okay, well, I have a case of that, and we'll get to it coming up next. WBT, Charlotte's FM News Talk. I am the main, America's coolest conservative, TJ Ritchie, in the TJ Ritchie Show. The phone number, 704-570-1079. Call it, text it, love it, live it. That text line is driven by Liberty Buick GMC. So, you know, the leftist mind, leftists are funny people, boy. You know that? They're funny people because they're crazy. They're absolutely nuts most of the time. So here we are in the year, we're at the end of the year 2025 of our Lord. And in 2025, the most valuable thing you can be in this country, according to the leftist mind, is a victim. And when you get leftist groups going at each other, and one is upset because the other is trying to claim more of a victim status, oh, fireworks are going off. Like, don't you dare think that you're a bigger victim than I am. So there's this woman. I don't know who she is, but evidently she's written a book. And she is an African-American woman. And she's a lesbian. So that is really, really high on the grievance scale of quote unquote marginalized peoples. I mean, being a black lesbian, it's hard to beat that in the marginalized crew. Hierarchy, if you will. But the entire homosexual community is one of the marginalized groups that leftists prey upon and manipulate and brainwash and so forth and so on. They pander to them in order to use them. So what happens when you've got homosexuals who are in the marginalized group, and they, even though they're marginalized by being homosexuals, they are also white devils? Ooh, what do we have then? There's a guy on, he's big on social medias, and he lives in Charlotte. He calls himself Real Po Folk. And he starts every video by saying, "Hey, y'all, come look at this." Well, here we have a black lesbian who is upset with the white gays. Hey, y'all, come look at this.
I haven't gone to a Pride festival in I don't know how long because I don't feel like dealing with it. I've stopped going into queer spaces, period, unless they are black LGBT folk, because I do not feel like dealing with overt acts of racism from white gays and lesbians, and I don't feel like dealing with the microaggressions from them either. So they waving around their little pride flag, got all this rainbow on, and they're racist as hell. And so for me, it's the audacity of white gay racism that somehow I don't belong in this space, but you do. Y'all just got politicized in 1969. We've been on that. Yeah. We've been on intersectionality. We've been on empowerment. We've been on liberation. You don't even know what liberation looked like without us. But somehow I have to deal with microaggressions, and for you to ask me to explain myself in a queer space, girl, get out of here, honey. White folk aren't interested in learning no American history, and they ain't interested in learning their queer history either. And that's a problem, you know, because when you do that, you're just walking around as an uninformed, ignorant person.
Now, remember, if a black person is accusing someone of being racist, it hits harder when they say folk. Okay, they normally wouldn't call people folk, but when they're accusing someone of racism, they will refer to themselves as black folk, or they refer to you as a white person as white folk. Okay, so that's how you know that you are really, really being accused of something harsh. All right. So she doesn't give in this clip. Obviously, you didn't hear any examples of what these gay white racists are doing. But here's the thing. You have to dismiss whatever she's saying when she's accrediting it to microaggressions, because that's just a made up bunch of crap. There's no such thing as a microaggression. You see, they use the microaggression, whether it's black folk calling white folk racist, or whether it's queer folk calling straight folk homophobics, whether it's immigrant folk, illegal immigrant folk calling ICE folk racist, kidnappers. A microaggression is nothing. A microaggression allows the complainant to say that something you did is very racist and offensive, even though you don't know that you did it. For example, if you, some have used this as an example of what a microaggression is. So you have a black lady that works alongside you at your company. And she comes to work Monday, and you can see that she has gotten her hair done a different way. And you say, well, hi, your hair looks great. What do you call that hairstyle? That's a microaggression, because you are saying that black folks' hairstyles are not up to the standard of yours. Why are you even talking about her hair? You don't know by now that white folk aren't supposed to even mention a black woman's hair in any way? Microaggression. Racist. I'm going to HR. A microaggression could be something as simple as, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you just said. Microaggression. Why didn't you understand what I said? Because I'm gay? Because I'm speaking too gay for you? I'll see you at HR. So it's just another thing the left has invented to concoct racism where it isn't, or homophobia where it isn't. So if anybody's claiming racism and they use the term microaggression, dismiss everything they're saying, because it makes no sense. It's not a thing. Microaggressions are not a thing. Passive aggressions are a thing. Microaggressions, made up, stupid, Marxist crap. And if your kids or grandkids come home and they tell you they've been learning about microaggressions, get up to that schoolhouse as fast as you can. You call a conference. Say, what are you doing teaching my kid about microaggressions? TJ the realist Ritchie, America's coolest conservative and the green-eyed patriot, says there's no such thing as microaggressions. He doesn't warn me about you people. You leftists. That's what you do. But I am dying. I think this woman wrote a book about racist gays. Now, I'm not going to go buy the book because I don't even know her name. I just saw the clip and I thought it was funny. But I would love to find out some examples of what she's talking about. Would be macro and microaggressions from gay white folk at these LGBT events. I'm dying to know. But I'm not going to spend money on the book. Hell no. That's a microaggression right there. Oh, you won't buy her book? Why? Because she's black and lesbian? Microaggression. You need counseling. It's just so ridiculous. All right, I'm finished for tonight. Mark Levin is up next. God loves you. There ain't nothing you can do about it.